Good. First of all, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope you all are having a good week. Just to kind of start off with the news from earlier this week, I made the decision Sunday morning that I really felt that we needed to make a change with our defense coordinator position. It was not something that I really wanted to do before the end of the season, but really just felt like after the last game that it was the right time there. Coach Spencer is a really good man, really good coach. He's been very successful in his career. Just recently, 2019, he led FAU to a championship, conference championship, and a really good defense there. But sometimes it just doesn't mesh and doesn't work, and we don't always understand why. But ultimately, I just felt like we weren't making the progress that we needed to make defensively. You know, one thing you ask yourself as a coach, even when you're in some transition years and maybe your roster isn't where you want it to be and all that, but are you putting guys in position where they have a chance to make plays consistently, and are you seeing improvement as the season goes on? And really was hoping that we would have a chance to finish strong and then kind of consider what I needed to do there, but it just felt like that was the best time. So I wish Coach Spencer the very best moving forward. And I asked Ernie Sims and Daniel DePrada to coordinate our defense this week. Both of them have done a really good job for us. I think they're two excellent coaches, bring a lot of energy, have really good knowledge. They've done a really good job so far this week. I know the guys have really responded well to them. And so really them along with Coach Barlow and Coach Bowers really kind of all working together to put together a plan for our guys to go be successful on Friday. Obviously, with 4 days, you're not going to change the whole defense and install a new defense, especially against everything that Central Florida does. I mean, they do a lot of different things. So the worst thing we could do is go try to put in a completely new defense. But with that being said, there are things within our scheme, within our package that maybe we haven't done very much this year, and some different things that maybe we can do to give our guys an opportunity to be successful. So that's kind of what we're working on now. The guys, let the guys know Sunday night. Obviously, they were disappointed. They really liked Coach Spencer, and I'll say this, Coach Spencer, he worked extremely hard. It was not a situation of not working hard. He was here early in the morning, late at night, trying everything that he knew to try, and at the end of the day, it just wasn't bringing the results that we need. So after this game, I will be meeting with some different candidates for our DC position to find the right fit for us moving forward. Another maybe advantage of doing it right now is being able to just kind of have a week to take all the names and people that are interested. There's a lot of interest in our position. I think that's a testament to people feeling like we have some good things ahead of us here moving forward. But I think for me the big thing is not going to be. I know there'll be a lot of people, wanting to see who you're going to hire and how quick you can hire. But there's a lot of things involved with it. I mean, there may be some candidates that are currently coaching in some roles at the NFL that play all the way, through January. So, to me, it's not about how quick we make the hire. It's about making the right hire. I definitely understand this is going to be a really important hire for our defense and for our team. And so we'll take our time, but I'll begin meeting with candidates next week while I'm also recruiting. I've visited with all of our commits, and I think they are all solid in our vision of what we're doing moving forward. Rivalry week is always it's one of my favorite weeks of the year, and it doesn't matter where you are. If you have a rivalry game, that's one of the things that makes college football really special. I've been a part of from a little kid watching Florida State, Florida, and then for about the last 20 years with Clemson and South Carolina, and then last year getting a taste of this rivalry game. There's going to be a lot of energy, a lot of emotion, which always come in rivalry games, but what I've been telling our guys all week is emotion and energy is not going to win this game on Friday. It may make one play for you or a couple plays, but ultimately it's going to come down to whoever executes the best on that day. And so we need to kind of take that energy. There's a lot of energy out there right now in the practice field and excitement about this opportunity, but we have to take that energy and really kind of funnel it into leading to some really good execution and getting together our plan on what we want to do. Huge challenge They're very athletic. You can tell they've recruited very well off of their recent success over the last few years. They're long, athletic, really good speed. Coach Malzahn's added some really impactful transfers to his roster as well. So, at the end of the day, we don't have to do something that we haven't done all year, but we have to play well for 4 quarters. There's been times throughout the different games up until last week that we really had showed that we can compete and score and do some things, but ultimately we're going to have to do that for 4 quarters, which we have not done this year in order to have a chance to pull out this victory. But it's one that everybody's fully focused on and really excited about, and all the way back from when you're playing high school ball. Whenever you get to Thanksgiving week and you're playing and practicing around Thanksgiving, that's football time. That's when it's special. And we got one more practice tomorrow with this team. It'll be our last practice of the season, and want to see us do well there, and then go out on Friday and play our best game of the year. And that's where our focus is. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Jeff, after having some time to digest the Saturday's game, what went wrong?
Really. The biggest thing is we had a bad day. There's some things you just can't explain. As a coach, I know we haven't had great practices leading up to every game, and I'm not a guy that's just going to say every week. If I don't say anything that we've had good practices, then maybe we haven't. But just full transparency, I'm not going to lie either. We had really good practice last week. I was really confident. I wasn't confident because I didn't think that they were very good. I knew they were good looking at their last couple of games and how they played, and really had a chance to win their last 2 games against good teams. I was confident in how our guys prepared, how we practiced, and we went down first drive, went down and scored, and that went just like I thought that it would. And I felt like here we are, and maybe that run they had for 59 yards, it just took the air out. And as a coach, you want to get everybody back, and we get the ball, and then we have a mistake and throw an interception, then they score, and then it was like a tide that you just could not turn. And we're not at a place as a program right now that has been able to really overcome that. And for whatever reason, it was a bad day. And that's what I told our players. Hey, we coached bad, we played bad. It was a bad day. And you can look all over NFL or college, it happens, right? I'm not going to call out some of the teams this past weekend that had a similar deal. It happens. But the reality is, let's be honest about it. Let's point it out, and let's show the mistakes and the things that we got to do to correct that. And but reality is, we cannot let that game change some of the positive momentum that we have had throughout the season and some of the progress we have made. That one game doesn't represent our entire season. It really is the worst that we played since our very first game against NC State. But I felt like there had been some different points in the other games where we had been very competitive and done some things that we needed to do. But it was a bad day, so you got to throw it away and move on. I would be a lot more concerned if we were playing anybody other than our rival this week. But you got to turn the page, and a rivalry game, and obviously these guys know a lot of their players and played with them in high school and all that. And I just told our guys we got to quickly. I know without a doubt on Friday they're going to be ready to play and energy and excited. But what we had to do, and the big challenge was to go from the news from Sunday night and from the game Saturday to we had to have good Mondays and Tuesdays. If we let the hangover of Saturday and Sunday's deal kind of carry over into Monday and Tuesday, and then start coming out of it on Wednesday like you may happen in a normal week, that was not going to be good for us. So the guys responded. I think, again, I'll give Coach Sims, Coach DePrada a lot of credit. They did a good job of getting the guys together. And sometimes a change can be good for like 1 week right here, right? It can bring just some new voice and new energy and maybe a chance to do some new things. So I think I've kind of felt that a little bit through these 2 days, but ultimately it's still going to come down to tackling and covering and all those things at the end of the day.
After the Houston game, you said, that if you guys were going to change staffing on the defensive side, you were looking at guys being in position and things like that. When you went back and evaluated to make this decision, I'm assuming that you saw that guys weren't in position to make plays.
Yeah, ultimately we just, it was just, yes, that's part of, there's a lot of things that you evaluate all the way through, and it just was not meshing, just didn't click like it needed to, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, we could sit here and list all the different things, but at the end of the day, you have to kind of go with your gut and where it is, and I just felt like, we were not consistently being able to put our guys in position or execute the way that we needed to, and really kind of losing some confidence. And so whenever you kind of get to that point, that's when you know you need to go ahead and get a new voice in there and bring some new thoughts and ideas.
At this point, Jeff, would you anticipate any other staff changes before next year?
Yeah, you know, not right now. You know, I wasn't planning a couple weeks ago to make this move this week either. I think, you know, the big thing that I'm going to do, I mean, right now, you just have to be 100% on this game and preparing for that. And then you kind of go into recruiting till December 15th, and then you have some time. There's about 3 or 4 weeks there. You have some time, and that's kind of when I will sit down and really evaluate everything from support staff to coaching staff to player roster to where we are, and I kind of take some time, put all that on paper, and I meet with Michael Kelly in kind of my end-year review meeting, and any changes that I feel like need to be made, whether it's roster or staffing or whatever we'll do there. But I don't have in my mind right now that that's the plan. But you know, obviously bringing in a new coordinator, we'll kind of see how that goes. And we got some coaches on our staff that may have opportunities to go other places too. So there's, with all the changeover and head coaches and all that stuff, you know, you want to be able to keep your coaches as well during this time. But that'll be things that I'll be evaluating once the season's over completely.
Taking a look at UCF, a team that's obviously lost a talented quarterback in Dylan Gabriel to injury. What have you seen in their response since he went down? I
would have liked to have played him maybe week 4 or week 5, but this new freshman quarterback, turning the video on, watching him the last 3 weeks, he's very well coached. He knows where to go with the ball. He's got a really good arm. They're uber talented at wide receiver. That's probably one of the you know, concerns going in, just the speed that they have. I mean, SMU, everybody, they run right by them like they're standing still. So, and he knows how to get the ball. They're not worried at all about forcing the ball downfield and taking shots. But he's improved as the season has gone on, and really been playing well these last couple weeks. And you know, he's definitely going to be a challenge. They throw the ball extremely well, and then they got really good backs as well.
As you build the program, you look at all the things you want to do, you know, win a game, win a road game, win the conference. How important is it to beat UCF? They've gotten you a few years in a row.
Yeah, it's always important to beat your rival. I think that's, you know, one of our team goals is, you know, to win the state championship, and really that's meant for our rivalry. And so that's always a big focus, you know, for us. And, you know, last year we had some opportunities in there, and I think played one of our better games, especially offensively, of the season. And so we've kind of been there before, but, you know, hey, it's a new year. They got a new team, new coaching staff and all that. And so there's no doubt that's an important piece. I can remember being at Clemson, and even though we were having some early success in Coach Sweeney's first couple of years, South Carolina kind of had our number. And at the end of the day, you know, it's about playing well in those games. It's not about talking about it more and hanging up signs and, you know, all that stuff. Whenever it comes down to 3rd down and 8, it comes down to, do you execute and make the play? It's not about a want to. There's always want to in those games, but it's about playing well. And so, you know, I have told our team all year long that, you know, the response that they've had, that I see behind the scenes, the way that they show up, regardless of the outcome of the last week, and get ready to go compete outside of that game this past weekend. You know, I really have told them that I feel like there's a really good finish out there for us if we'll stay committed to that. So this is the last opportunity for that, and would be no better time than to go out and play our best game.
Unlike your South Carolina Clemson rivalry, this is a rivalry that's had a few different coaches in the last 4 to 5 years, between, you know, Frost and now Malzahn, and here as well. Does this rivalry still have the juice, even with as many coaching changes as
Yeah, I think really rivalries aren't about the coaches. It's about the players, right? The players went to high school together. They played each other. They were rivals in high school together. You know, they see each other all the time. So really, to me, that's what rivalry is. It's more about the players than it is the coaches. Obviously, the coaches is very competitive for us. But you're right. I mean, now coaches move and go. But you know, those players have been. We got some seniors playing their last game. They've been here 4 or 5 years and been a part of this. So this is an important game for them to go out with a win.
When you look at Gus, back to high school in Arkansas, he's always had the reputation of a guy that does things a little differently, wide open offenses. When you prepare for him and his staff, is it kind of, you're not sure what you're going to get here?
Yeah, they do it. They do a lot of things, and when you play somebody that does a lot of things, and you play them late in the year, in the last game of the season, you got a lot of video. So at the end of the day, you can't. The old saying about, the person that tries to defend everything defends nothing, right? So we can't. We have 3 practices. There's no way you can draw up every play that they've ran this year. What you have to look for is tendencies. Look for kind of what their bread and butter. What do they like to do? But yeah, he does the same thing. He looks at tendencies on us, so that's why it's going to be really important for our defensive staff. We have a good opportunity this week with some new guys being in charge of it to change some things up, because he definitely likes to know what you're going to be in and what you've done in the past. So I imagine that the first quarter will be a little bit of cat and mouse back and forth, trying to figure out what each person's going to do. Same thing for us offensively, maybe having a few different things than we've done. And sometimes every game's important, but I think good coaches always hold some things maybe in their back pocket for that last one, unless you have to have it. So things you've been practicing throughout the week and throughout the season, but unless you really have to have it in games, you may kind of save it. And now it all kind of comes up. Well, there's no tomorrow. We're not saving it for the spring game or spring practice. So now you have those bullets you've been practicing. So there's a lot of that. So I think the first quarter, first half is always kind of a feeling out process, and I think this one will definitely be that way.
I was going to ask if you may have just answered the question with the feeling out process, to say how much of this week is about the team having fun, just go out and have a blast, and then we'll throw caution at the wind.
Yeah, I mean, it's not I'm hoping we're going to be in a situation where we're going into this game and need to win it to be able to go to our conference championship game. I'm hoping we get to that point at some point, and I feel like we will down the road. But right now, this is it. There is no tomorrow. And really for this team, these seniors, it's going to be, and really just the way that college football is, there's going to be a lot of movement on your roster and staff, and it's just so you got to really just enjoy that team. In the 2021 South Florida Bulls, this will be the last game and last week that we get to be together, and last game that we get to play together. And so absolutely, that's part of it. And ultimately, it's a lot more fun when you're doing well and playing well and scoring points and holding them out and winning. So it's kind of a balance of, hey, we're going to have some fun. We had some fun today at practice with some things that we did. But ultimately, the fun on Friday is going to come from being able to execute and play a clean game. But, yes, that's definitely part of it, and enjoying every last day that we have together with this team.
You mentioned you might go to some different areas of playbook you haven't gone much. Does that include kind of ramping up the pressure on the quarterback a little bit?
Yeah, so they would do absolutely no good to go through with what we're going to do, other than say that we're going to do some new things. There's no, I'm sure there's plenty of people watching want to know exactly. And again, at the end of the day, there's certain things that you can change up in certain moment, maybe on a third down play that normally you do this, and sometimes against unbalanced you do this, now you're going to do this. So there's a little bit of that, but unless you've been watching extremely close, the average fan's not going to be able to see some huge difference from a scheme standpoint, because you do have to stay within the verbiage and overall structure, but maybe what calls you call and when you call it and all that, you can have some freedom to be able to do that.
Is the play sequencing piece of it, maybe not the exact plays you call, but the order those calls are played, does that play into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the I don't know if it's the sequencing like first, second, third, but I think it's like in the critical situations. I mean, these games are all about third down. Right. So what are you doing on third down? What's been your typical coverage on third down? What's been your typical blitz or your typical stun or movement? It's changing some of those things up, because same thing, they can't prepare for everything. You got to kind of prepare for what you've seen and what you know. So it's a little bit of that. What do you do in the red zone? What do you do when you're inside the 5-yard line? What coverage do you play? What front do you play? What's your top blitz? It's all those things that I think really the change comes. But I mean, I think to us there's a little bit of advantage for our guys, maybe being able to change some things up, and just having some new people that are kind of calling things. You may get into some different looks than you've been.
I know you have a game to play. You're not in full evaluation mode yet, but when you look at your 2 seasons, is inability to get more pressure on the quarterback, job one, in terms of
Yeah,
improvement?
yeah, I think that's going to come. That's definitely one thing that is a priority as I kind of look at the new scheme that we'll be running in the future. And obviously, we got a lot of D linemen that are leaving, and we got a lot of guys that are coming in, and so you kind of have that in your mind as you're recruiting the guys that are coming in, and then also from a scheme standpoint, what we need to do. I mean, at the end of the day, me being in this league for 2 years and kind of seeing, what people do, seeing, what people do on offense, what they do on defense, and also kind of getting to know our roster and our team where we are. I think I'm definitely going to be in a better position as I go through this process of kind of figuring out what scheme that we want to run here and what we need to do to be successful. But I'm not going to go over that right now.
Timmy's game and Timmy's season.
Yeah.
The ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was a down cycle last week. What
Yeah.
happened, and what do you think overall where Timmy is?
Yeah, I'm not giving Timmy away. We love Timmy. I think last week what happened, obviously through the interception there in the second series, and that kind of bothers a young quarterback. And then the way the game went, we got behind so quickly that we ended up having to throw it, and that really wasn't our game plan going in because they were really athletic in the secondary, and Weaver was out, so we really wanted to be able to stay on schedule and run the ball. And whenever you get behind and you have to throw it, they know you have to throw it, then they get to do some different things up front, kind of pin their ears back and just come. And we're not in a position right now offensively where we can be as successful there. And so it was not the game plan that we wanted. But overall, it kind of goes back to what I was talking about with the defense. Have I seen progress out of him overall and see a lot of future and hope? Absolutely. And it's just kind of a bad day. And he was just one of about 100 people that had a bad day on Saturday.
How did he handle it?
Yeah, well, all I can do is see how he responds and shows up and goes to work and goes back to practice and all that stuff. And he's got good energy and he's come back. And, that's part of being a freshman quarterback. It's just kind of going through. It's not always going to be easy. Most of the time it's not. There is some success, but then there's some difficulty. And, as a coach, it's kind of like as a I got young kids. Savannah's 6 and Hunter's 1. And you kind of see Hunter's over there wanting to walk on the couch, and you're wanting to kind of get behind him and tell him not to walk on the couch. Eventually, you got to let him just kind of stumble a little bit and figure out that's probably not a good idea. It's the same way with a coach with a freshman quarterback. You can't just completely protect them in all situations. You got to let them go play, let them have success. They fail. They got to kind of feel that and come back. But what you want to see is how do they respond and come back. And what I saw again, middle of the year when he kind of got banged up, wasn't great. Had a week to kind of come back. He responded well, played well for several weeks, and I expect him to respond and play well this Friday.
Any injury updates, Joe?
No. Not. We expect to get Weaver back, so that's probably the best news there of the week. He's practiced through the 2 days, and that was part of the deal too last week. He probably could have done some things, but there was a concern that if he went out there and aggravated it, that he'd be out this week, and we just felt it was best to hold him and try to get him as close to 100% because we knew this week for sure we were going to need him.
What will happen on Thursday in terms of Thanksgiving and what you're doing as a team?
Yeah, that morning we'll do our normal, really what we typically do on Fridays, we'll do in the morning. So we'll come in, we'll have meetings, we'll do walkthrough, then we'll get on the bus, we'll head to Orlando, and then we'll have a Thanksgiving dinner at about 5 o'clock Thursday evening. And then after that, have some more meetings and hopefully keep everybody awake there after all the turkey. But yeah, we will take some time Thursday evening for our dinner, and then the non-travel guys will be able to go home tomorrow and be home for Thanksgiving, and then meet us over at the game on Friday.
Have you ever broken your leg while coaching?
No, but I have had a scary incident where I knocked my shoulder out. I got knocked down one time, and I was responsible for, back then I was at Clemson, I was responsible for lining up the punt returner, right? So like on third down, when defense is out there and it's third down, you get the punt returner and you walk down there 40 yards from the deal so you have them ready. And so we were on defense. We were at North Carolina and playing at North Carolina. This has been years ago, maybe 2010 or 11. and I wasn't watching and got hit and knocked down. My shoulder was out, and that was right after that third down play. And so I just remember coaches gave me a hard time because I got on the headset while I was laying down on the ground saying, I'm down, I'm down. And what I was trying to tell them was, somebody get up and line up the punt returner. And, but they thought it was like, I'm in combat or something, I'm down. So that story got back to my wife. She's reminded me of that a couple times. But yeah, you got to watch yourself. I mean, being a Coach Bowden, his rule was whenever you were 7 years old, you could be on the sidelines at Florida State. So ever since I was 7, and Coach Bowden's highway patrolman, I think his name was Mr. Billy Smith, I would stand with him for about my first 4 years. He would kind of have his hands on my shoulders every time we'd get near the ball, or the ball would get near us. So, but it will sneak up on you because you're talking, communicating, and doing those things. So it's something that I definitely have to watch. Yeah, that's the one time shoulder got knocked out, and luckily they got somebody to line up the punt returner for me.
What are you most thankful for?
Oh man, number one, my family, definitely, and then I'm thankful for this opportunity, really, to be here. And I know it's been a challenge, and definitely not maybe what I expected, especially maybe in the second year and kind of how you have it in your mind going out. But I've definitely grown a lot as a coach. I think at Clemson, especially the last couple of years, that we were there, it was just kind of rolling. You really just felt like you're going to show up, and it just kind of takes care of itself because we had it rolling. And whenever I was ready to leave, I was ready for a challenge. Be careful what you ask for, and you get a challenge. And so even though the days are long, but the years are short, and I really appreciate this opportunity. I appreciate our team for continuing to show up and continue to play and believing in myself. I appreciate our administration and for Michael Kelly and all the guys and ladies at the Board of Trustees, just the support that they've given me during some of my most difficult years coaching is something that I know is very rare in this profession. And and I've told them I'm going to remember that here in a couple of years when we're winning at a high level, and maybe I have some opportunities. I'm a person that wants to be loyal to the people that are loyal to you, especially in your most difficult times. So I'm thankful for them, and really I'm thankful for the opportunity to coach. And this is something I don't take for granted. And just to be able to line up with a group of guys and go out and play and lead a program is something I've looked forward to. And I'm very excited and looking forward to this challenge Friday and for what's going to be ahead of us here in the next couple of years.